Thanks for taking the time to join us. How are you keeping at the moment?
Yeah, not too bad actually. Tried to get herself in a routine when things started going into lockdown quite quickly. Um, so we've managed to do that as a family. Obviously, sort out homeschooling and the issues that come up with that. But I think we've managed to get in a good routine now, and also yes, organised with our business, how that's had to change to go online as well. So that took a bit of organising and sorting out, but yeah, we're there and we're pretty happy, I think.
It's great to hear. Sounds like you're keeping busy, and I'm guessing this situation can only make your business and everything stronger in some respects. If you can get through this unscathed, then the future looks good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly been a learning curve, that's for sure. But allowed us to kind of see that we're able to access a larger number of people that can access us from afar, which has been really great to be able to offer our services a little bit further afield than just around the Devon area. So that's been great.
Excellent. So I thought we'd start by just talking about the early days of your playing career. You started out at Man United in '96, I believe, gaining a professional contract in the year 2000. I read something that it began originally with your dad writing to Man United to just say, how much of a talented player you were going to become.
Yeah, that's actually a true story. My dad rang the club when I was about 7 years old, which obviously every dad thinks that the son's pretty good, but he must have seen something at that stage to make him make that call at that early stage. But yeah, obviously the age that I was at the time, nothing could have been done about it. So I just continued playing, enjoying my football, and started to go to Tottenham Hotspur actually as a 13-year-old, and I think just kept in contact with Les Kershaw, who was the chief scout at the time, and obviously he kind of felt that if I was going to Tottenham, I must have something. So when it was getting to the age of 14, when they could actually do something about it because of where I lived and being so far as the rules were at the time, you couldn't go to a club more than an hour and a half's drive away from your home. They decided to come and have a look and like what they saw and wanted to sign me there and then, but I had to wait till my 14th birthday. So that was when it was signed and sealed 7 years later. So I got there in the end.
I mean, just what was it like at that time? I mean, you signed your professional contract in the year 2000, the year after, United won the treble and all that was going on.
Yeah, so I signed as a YTS apprentice that summer after they just won the treble and European Cup. So to be around the club at that time, I mean, to go up as a 14-year-old and to essentially see your heroes and them walking by you and chatting to you and saying hello to you was, an amazing experience itself from a fan's point of view, let alone being there as a player. So yeah, being there full time and then signing a professional contract was amazing. That's all I ever wanted as a young lad. That's what I wanted to do, and to be at that club to learn my craft was it was amazing, and a privilege really.
Just what was Sir Alex like as a person while you were there? I mean, you hear stories of just what a great man he was, and how he'd have time for everyone and know you by name just after meeting you once, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's very, very much the case. The environment around the club was very much everyone's in it together. It's very much a family-orientated environment. And you were certainly made to feel wanted. It was a nurturing environment, and that's probably why a lot of players that have gone through that process, whether they've been successful or not, end up going into, you know, coaching roles or things like that because of that environment and what they've learned going through that process. So yeah, I mean, he very much was very jovial through the week, but when it was business time and training time and game time, you know, a very focused, different character, but knew times when to kind of keep it relaxed and keep everyone in good spirits.
Unfortunately, your time would be cut short at Man United due to picking up a serious, well, a career-threatening injury at the time at a very young age. I mean, how did you deal with that?
I think I dealt with it. I don't know how well I dealt with it. Thinking back, yeah, it was a really tough time because essentially your dream had been shattered, and you felt like it was no fault of your own, and that you were almost cut the opportunity to really have a go at it. So that was disappointing, and but I had great support from the club, and great support from the players there, the first team players, as well as, you know, my peers, and that kind of gave me some kind of strength to just assess it at the time and think, you know, what was my next move going to be. I'd spent, you know, about 6 months trying to recover, but because of the time that I've missed from interruptions, the time that I was there for injury, the chances of me getting to the first team were very slim. So I needed to decide whether I was going to try and recover and make a career out of it, or whether I look at other avenues. And I decided to do both at the time. I started a degree at Salford University, and I went and played part-time for Northwich Victoria, and tried to kind of rebuild my fitness, and also trying to, you know, develop my body so that I was able to kind of give football a go, which is what I decided to do. I deferred my university place, and then wrote to clubs and tried to get trials that following season. So I got myself very, very fit. I was fortunate enough to work with an athletics club, and that kind of gave me a great insight into kind of fitness regimes and developing other facets of fitness that were beneficial for my game. And yeah, managed to start my journey from there, back to try and get back into full-time football.
And then you signed for your hometown club in 2003. How did the move come about? And was it the Eamon Dolan that signed you at the time?
Yes, that's right. So I was on trial at Oldham in the summer, and that was going very well. And then they were hit with administration, I think, at the time. So that kind of fell through. I went to Macclesfield on trial. I didn't kind of get the vibe there, and the environment, it just didn't feel right. So someone that I knew Eamon, and kind of said that I think Andy's thinking of maybe moving back home for a period. Could he come and train with you, and you can have a look at it? So that's how it kind of came about. At the time, then Exeter had just been put into a transfer embargo, so they couldn't sign me, but I could come and train. And that transition from being in pre-season and starting full-time training from the season before, just part-time, that actually benefited me without having the addition of playing week in, week out. Really helped my process of kind of getting back to full-time football, because I was full-time training but not necessarily playing games because of the transfer embargo at the time. And then when that was lifted, I was able to sign, and then I started to be able to involve in games as well, which kind of completed that whole process.
I mean, that must have been quite an achievement and quite a great feeling at the time to be back playing professionally?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it'd been a lot of hard work, a lot of ups and downs along the way. It took a lot of patience as well. So yeah, but putting in the hard work, that's what you get. You get your just rewards in the end. So it was just trying to kind of keep that in mind as much as possible.
And what kind of memories do you have of Eamon from your time, as a person and as a manager?
Eamon was a really excitable character, a real jovial character around the training ground. Very, very much like Sir Alex, and I know Eamon spent quite a bit of time around that environment, so probably picked up a lot of those ideas from experiencing that, and it was very much the same. And he brought the same thing, kind of a family feel around the club, and everyone was in together. And because of the situation at the time with the transfer embargo and things being very kind of up and down at the time, whether the club was going to continue and those types of things, it was all, we're in this together and we'll all kind of work through it together. And I think that kind of brought a lot of strength and continuity to that squad at the time, and really set the foundations for what was to come next, really.
You saw just how passionate he was on the touchline as well. I think I remember a game against the RMI where City scored a late winner. I don't know if that was in 2003 or not, and just him bouncing up and down the touchline and just celebrating in front of the fans was amazing to see.
Oh, yeah. I remember it well. He was certainly a passionate guy, that's for sure, and he's well missed.
You would make your City debut in November 2003 against Aldershot. Do you remember much about that match? Was it just amazing to be back on the pitch playing?
Yeah, I don't. Just the kind of excitement of just being out there again, and kind of again, just finishing off that process of being patient, putting the hard work in, and then being able to have the chance to go out and perform and be part of it was the kind of overall kind of memory that I can remember from that. And to be on the pitch with those players, haven't been training with them for a long time, to actually be out there was great.
I mean, then if we skip on a couple of years and you get the chance to return to Old Trafford, this time as a Man United player. I mean, do you remember watching the draw and seeing the balls come out?
Yeah, I do, and I know the reaction of Steve Perryman and Alex Inglethorpe is the one that's seen. I think we were all doing very much the same when we saw that, jumping around, in disbelief that was actually real, and checking back to the telly many times just to check that was actually true. But that was incredible, and again, talking about kind of putting work in and getting reward at the end of it. But thinking back to a time when I thought that dream was over and never had the opportunity to play at Old Trafford, to being given that opportunity again in the future, I think it shows how kind of things reward you for the work that you put in. So yeah, it was a great opportunity, and one I will always remember and cherish.
I mean, and what a match it was as well. The shift that everyone put in to get that 0-0 draw. I mean, what are your standout memories from that day?
Yeah, I think exactly that. Everybody's focus to do their job to the best of their abilities, and I don't think there was anyone either that started or came on that didn't do that on the day. And it had to be like that for us to get any sort of result. And we well and truly did that on the day. It was just an amazing memory. It really was.
You had a couple of good chances yourself, didn't you? A half volley that was saved by the keeper, and then that free kick, which was millimetres away. Yeah,
the free kick that I'm reminded of many, many times. Yeah, when when I see fans. Absolutely. Yeah, I thought it was in myself as well. I've got to be honest. Yeah, it felt good when I hit it, but yeah, unfortunately, just the wrong side of the post. But yeah, never mind.
And then having a replay at St James Park as well was big for the club at the time. I mean, you know, the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and people like that coming along to play. I mean, what was the buzz like around that?
Yeah, just the challenge. I think everybody wanted to step up to that challenge and compete against that caliber of player. I mean, Scott Hurley's nutmeg on Cristiano Ronaldo.
No one's ever going to forget that, are they?
No one's ever going to forget that. So yeah, Scott well and truly stepped up to the challenge that day. That's for sure. But yeah, just the buzz, you know, the lead up to the game, the buzz around the game, just the atmosphere. Although you're so focused on the game, there were just times where that would kind of tune in, and yeah, just amazing feeling to have the opportunity to perform in that stage against those players, and you know, to look back and Cristiano Ronaldo and Wayne Rooney have scored the goals to beat you. You can't really argue too much with that.
Absolutely. And then Paul Tisdale would obviously come in 2006 and take over at the club. I mean, what are your memories of, you know, his first few days?
Yeah, very much a different character that came in than the previous managers with Eamon and Alex. Very kind of methodical thinker, similar to Alex in that way, but very kind of calm and self-assured, and that kind of calmness, I think, kind of had a good influence over the squad in general, and that's, I think, that way worked well in developing those squads to go on and be successful, and good attention to detail as well.
I mean, and the club would really kick on under him as well. You went on to make 34 appearances in that first season, where City would make Wembley and ultimately lose to Morecambe. But it was a great season in many respects. I mean, what are your standouts from it?
Yeah, I think there was a period in the season where I was out of the team, and then we started to build some momentum towards the end of the season, and I managed to break back into the side, and you could just feel there was just a feeling around the squad that we had just hit form just at the right time, and we were building momentum into those last few games, and which managed to get us into the playoffs. And then playing Oxford in the semi-final, there was never a time through those two games, especially from my point of view, that I felt we were ever going to lose that, even when we went a goal down. And that momentum kind of carried through. And then, if anything, in the final, maybe that was one game too far. I don't know. Maybe we ran out of a little bit of steam. Didn't quite perform as well as we could have. But their winning goal, I mean, what a strike that was. I remember that. Yeah, just the disappointment of, the excitement of leading up to that game, and that opportunity to be promoted, and then just the disappointment at the end of not quite doing enough, and knowing that we probably could have done better.
I mean, yeah, what's the mood like when the full-time whistle goes? And you tried to put in as much as you can on the pitch, but ultimately just couldn't quite get over the line.
Yeah, I think utter dejection. I think so much goes into the day, the preparation. So much goes into the game. You put everything on the line, and you're absolutely spent. And I think the jubilation at the end, if you win, is what keeps you going. But if you're on the other side, then yeah, you're just absolutely completely done, and you've got nothing left. Yeah, actually, I remember having to do a drugs test after that game, and having to sit there with your opposite with your opposition. It happened to be Michael Twiss, actually, that used to be at Man United, so I knew him. But he's desperate to get into the rest of his team to celebrate, and I'm sat there just want to go home. And yeah, you're absolutely dehydrated, and then you've got to try and do this drugs test, and yeah, it's the last place you want to be. So yeah, I remember that, and yeah, not a great memory.
And do you think that experience though really toughened the team up and got them, prepared mentally to go again and go one better the next season?
Yeah, I think to do that and to bounce back the same, it's really difficult to do. So yeah, I think it kind of built a bit of resilience. But also I think going through the process helps as well, because you kind of know what to expect. It's not a new experience. So that can be beneficial. It's just trying to then hold your nerve and not be thinking, oh, I hope it doesn't happen again. But yeah, as we know, it was a great day in the end, and we managed to get over that line and yeah, and have the celebration of and know what the other side felt like compared to the year before.
I mean, what are your memories of that season as well? A lot of players say just how close-knit a group you were and how unbelievable a team it really was.
Yeah, I mean, some fantastic players that we had that have gone on to have great careers in the game. So yeah, it was a really great squad of players, great characters in there, good fun. Yeah, my memories of that season were, I remember the first couple of games of the season. I think we were playing at Altrincham, and I got caught in a challenge, and my leg didn't feel right, and so we ended up travelling back, and I had my foot up, and it was not right. So I went to the hospital that night, and I had an X-ray, and nothing showed up on the X-ray. So I thought it was bad bruising, so I tried to kind of carry on. I was walking on it the next few days, and actually that's when me and Claire got engaged. And I remember we went to Branscombe. Anyone that knows Branscombe, there's a hell of a hill there. So that's when I was going to ask her to marry me. So we were walking up this hill, and I've carried a basket for a picnic. And I remember walking up this hill thinking, my leg is not right. I'm in lots of pain here, but I don't want to show it. I don't want to ruin the moment. And yeah, she eventually said yes, and it was all good. But I remember trying to kind of run on it the next couple of weeks, and it's still not being right. So I went back to have an X-ray and found out that it was actually broken. So that kind of stalled my start of the season. And I remember working really hard to try and get back to fitness, trying to break back into the squad, and probably worked a little bit too hard, to be honest. And probably a little bit overtrained. Additional stress, a kind of contract at the end of the season coming up, and those things, and trying to kind of deal with those things. But eventually coming back, breaking into the squad, and we were obviously doing well through the season. And again, starting to build momentum. But I think it caught up on me, and my performance dipped. I came out of the side. But what the squad did then, in terms of keeping that momentum going, and then into the Torquay games in the semi-finals, and what was produced then, and then to carry that into the final, was amazing achievement. And it was amazing to kind of be able to finish off that process and achieve what was set out at the start of the season. Is, can we get back there or do it straight away and actually get promoted, which we were successful in doing, which was great.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm hoping these stats are correct, but you ended up making 109 appearances for Exeter and scoring 7 goals. What would you say was your favourites out of those?
The favourite's probably my first goal, which happened to be at St James's Park, which was against Aldershot, I think. I think I set 2 goals up on the day and scored a goal, so it was a pretty good day. So that one certainly sticks in the memory. And just that feeling of scoring a goal in front of your home fans was great. So that one, and I think there was a couple of free kicks that I scored away at Hereford that kind of stick in the memory as well. That were pretty good. I think one to win the game. So yeah,
not too bad. On leaving Exeter, you ended up joining Truro and spent a few years at the club. I mean, did you enjoy that period?
Yeah, I did actually. I really enjoyed my football at the time. I just started a degree at that time, so it was a really good balance. Good switch off from either. So if there was a lot of work to do on my degree, going and then being able to play and de-stress and enjoy that was a great balance. And then also with the football, having something else to concentrate on with the degree meant that I wasn't thinking about football all the time. And as a professional, sometimes you get into a way of over-analysing things, and yeah, that just consuming you all the time and not having other outlets. So yeah, I think I had a good balance at that time, and there were some really good players that played there. Obviously, a lot of ex-league players that came there. Barry Howes, that used to play at Fulham, played for a couple of years. So it's really enjoyable, and we were a good, successful squad. And good group of players. Really good fun as well.
Then you had undertaken a degree in sports performance and strength and conditioning. I mean, had you known for a while that you wanted to get into the world of fitness and that when you finished playing?
With my wife Claire, who was the physio at Claire for a time, at Exeter for a time, and then she moved on to our rivals, Plymouth Argyle. Sorry about that. Obviously, long term, we would discuss kind of future plans, what we would want to do, and from past experiences with injuries and things like that, always knew that I would kind of go down the degree route and look at developing skills to be able to practice. And what really led into a strength and conditioning coach, which was not necessarily as well known as it is now. And that kind of played into the opportunities that kind of arose for me when I finished playing. One with my work at Ivy Bridge Community College, where I work as a strength and conditioning coach on our academy program, and then to develop our own business and use those skills of Claire's and mine together to be able to offer the general public as well as local athletes support in their trainings.
And as you say, you set up TaylorMade around a decade ago. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about, what the services and that you offer?
Yeah, sure. So me and Claire work in combination, and we also work in isolation on our programs. The part where we work in combination is using our experience from professional sport and the support that athletes get, is being able to use that for anybody really, general public. So if someone's had an operation or they're injured, they'll get that initial diagnosis or support from Claire. And then as they start to kind of develop through that rehab process, they'll start to work with me on that end stage rehab, and then to support their kind of general functional ability, whether that's to go back into a sport or whether that's just to be able to function fully without any restrictions and be able to enjoy their life essentially. So that's where we work in combination, but our isolation programs, Claire offers some treatment and diagnosis and rehab, and she runs Pilates classes in prenatal, postnatal, clinical Pilates. So a variety of classes that are on offer there. And then I work across our youth development program, which is a physical education curriculum program, and also our youth performance program, which is any young athlete that's developing in a sport. And this is to assist their kind of technical training, to offer the physical development to assist that. And we have our adult lifestyle, which is either weight loss goals or fitness training goals. But we use a kind of multifaceted approach as part of that, where we will look at your nutrition, your training, your sleep, and your stress management, and how those all interrelate to make you the best that you can be, and also achieve your goals. But we also have an adult performance program, so any local athletes that want to use that performance program, which is a little bit more specific towards their sport or times of the season or competitions and build-ups to those. And then finally, our kind of elderly program, which kind of completes that whole health span, which is still developing that functional ability to be able to stay strong. Muscle is the organ of longevity, so the old adage goes, if you don't use it, you lose it. And that's really important as we get into old age, that we maintain that. Being able to sit down into a chair and get up, and to be able to balance, fall prevention, those types of things are key for your health. So we're able to kind of cover all aspects and support at any stage of that health span.
And do you feel your playing experiences and the challenges that you faced have really helped you with the business?
Yeah, certainly. I think certainly perseverance, resilience, being adaptable have been really helpful. We've built our own premises, our home, and our kind of training facilities on site. So going through that process has certainly brought up a few challenges, that's for sure. And times where you think, are we going to get this done? And yeah, just working through it and finding that resilience to be able to keep going and achieving it in the end. It's been a long process, but it's been a worthy process, and one we're really, really proud of.
Health and fitness itself is hugely important right now as well, isn't it? With the country still in lockdown. What advice would you give people if they're wanting to, take that first step to getting back to fitness or improving their fitness?
Yeah, sure. I mean, health is well and truly kind of being put front and center, right, at this time with the COVID-19 pandemic. And the kind of information that comes out is that those people that may be overweight or have underlying health issues, diabetes, are more susceptible to kind of picking up the infection and also having adverse effects to it. So it's really important that your health, one, what kind of state it's in, and then two, to kind of know what to do about it. So we're actually running a challenge through our social media channels at the moment, which is a 30-day challenge to make a habit. So there's kind of key areas to this. The first thing is kind of knowing where you're at. So there's a couple of simple measures that you can do for that, which is taking a waist circumference score, measure in centimeters at the belly button, and dividing that by your height in centimeters. And if that's over 0.5, then that is an early indication that there's some kind of metabolic kind of ill health. So if you're gaining weight around the viscera here, then that correlates with kind of adverse effects in terms of maybe developing diabetes or potential long-term effects effects in heart disease and those types of things. So one, it's kind of knowing where you're at. You can score yourself out of 10, how are you feeling mentally, energy-wise, those types of things. And then as you go through the process, is at the end of that, see how that tracks and changes. Are you feeling better? So you're taking care of the kind of psychological aspects as well as the physical ones. So the four kind of key areas that we look at are nutrition, so cutting sugar, because sugar kind of raises insulin levels in the blood, and that's not beneficial in terms of a chronic basis to be doing that in the long term. So being able to cut sugar out of your diet is beneficial. So eating real food, so meat, fish, eggs, vegetables that grow above ground tend to have less sugar in them as well. So we don't always think as fruit and vegetables to be potentially not great for your health, but some are worse than others in terms of sugar content. So your body doesn't know the difference essentially. So that's one aspect. Then obviously exercise is good for the brain. Also, we've talked about muscle being the organ of longevity. So having a habit where you have a process that you can work through daily. And these links are on this challenge. So to give you some idea of how you do that. Your sleep, so having a sleep schedule, the same sleep time, wake up time, getting early sunlight on your eyes rather than from a device, because that starts the sleep process throughout the day so that you are then in tune with your own individual sleep pattern. And then stress management, so meditation, a couple of different strategies for that. Love and kindness, so you kind of understand how to kind of provide love and kindness for yourself, as well as then trying to provide that for other people. And that's setting you up for a positive kind of start to the day. And then there's another one called Curtin Kriya, which has been shown to increase frontal lobe function of the brain, which is really important for kind of long-term health, especially in the development of Alzheimer's. So just a 10-minute practice of that type of meditation a day can increase the size and function of frontal lobe function. So those aspects in combination are really things that would be really beneficial to try and develop into your daily habits to support your long-term health.
Absolutely. I mean, you touched on it a bit there as well, but aside from the body, the mind is equally as important, and keeping a check on your mental health, especially right now when things can be a bit stressful, is key as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're living on top of each other if you've got a large family, so there's additional stresses that kind of come along with that. And yeah, there's actually another aspect which, especially on that side, is a dopamine fast. So this is something I learned from a Dr. Robert Sivers, and this kind of come out from Silicon Valley. So, probably one of the most creative places in the world, and using this as a technique of being able to reset your brain to help you rather than hurt you. So that's taking an hour or 2 hours or half day or full day, whether once a week, twice a month, or once a month, or every 6 months, and you shut everything off, all your technology, you take that time just for you, and you are there with a pencil and paper, and you have the opportunity to sit with your thoughts and deal with any issues that you have got or any challenges that you need to work through. And you write that down and you work out what your process is going to be. And what that allows you to do is to be able to cleanse and move forward. And the analogy Dr. Robert Sivers talks about is kind of the carrot for the donkey. So you put the carrot in front of the donkey, that helps it move forward. But if you continually feeding the donkey carrots all the time, there's less incentive for it to. So you stop feeding the donkey the carrots, therefore becomes hungry, you put the carrot in front. And it's the same for the brain. You take that away, it allows it to cleanse, reset, and then it will help to kind of move you forward. and not keep you in the same place.
Excellent advice, that. Just finally, you guys are locals to Exeter, and I think you've been doing a lot of live sessions and things on your social media accounts, haven't you? I guess you just encourage people to check you out on social media if they are interested in finding out a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, on our Facebook page, TaylorMade Performance and Rehabilitation, we run a weekday morning session at 8:30 with our 2 young children. That's part of our kind of physical education process. So we go through all our fundamental movement patterns and skills, being able to strike objects, being able to move effectively, bend, twist, turn, run and jump, all these key skills to help develop competent young movers that are then have the confidence to be able to continue taking part in physical activity over the life course. So physical literacy to develop into a physical legacy.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for your time, Andy. It's been very interesting, and certainly a lot of food for thought there.
Thanks very much. Yeah, really appreciate you wanting to speak to me, Scott, and the opportunity to have a chat with you through some old times and what's going on now. So thanks again.